Hannibal Barca was born a citizen of the city-state Carthage, located on the north coast of Africa. The city was a central multinational trading hub, and its powerful navy and its innovative use of technological advancements were well known across the Mediterranean. Though many admired the growing city, its riches and enviable position eventually made it a target for formidable opponents. In order to comprehend Carthage's impact on the ancient world, it is necessary to study the Phoenicians' culture. Phoenicia consisted of autonomous city-states that arose along the Mediterranean coast. It was made up of what are now Syria, Lebanon, and portions of Israel. The Phoenicians were a seafaring people because of their location. They were highly skilled in mass production, shipbuilding, and maritime commerce, which flourished from 1500 to 322 BCE. Ancient Mesopotamia's Phoenicia region was well known for its purple dye, which was used to color Mesopotamian royalties' robes. The Phoenicians transmitted their spiritual beliefs to their neighbors, produced the alphabet, and exported papyrus. They were also well known for their trade routes, shipbuilding skills, and sailing prowess, which made them effective carriers of goods and facilitators of cross-cultural interaction. Tyre's descendants, the Carthaginians, were Phoenicia's most affluent city, amassing enormous wealth for both themselves and their populace. Around 332 BCE, following Alexander the Great's invasion and conquest of Tyre, Carthage was established. From a tiny seaport, the city expanded to become the richest city in the Mediterranean and kept creating new trade routes and lands. People from all over the world came to Carthage because of its wealth, and the city's population increased to over 300,000. Elite aristocratic clans controlled every important position in the military and government of Carthaginian society. Members of the aristocracy were elected to important positions by the populace, which formed the government. The suffete, which was shared by two suffetes and elected every year, was the most powerful position in Carthaginian politics. In order to keep people from gaining too much power, Carthaginian government positions were elected and subject to term limits. Bribes were offered in exchange for votes, access to more senior positions, and favorable court rulings, demonstrating the widespread corruption. After ancient Carthage was destroyed by Rome during the Third Punic War, many facets of Carthaginian culture were lost to history. Only surviving artifacts and inscriptions have allowed modern historians to piece together what Carthaginian religious practices might have been. Carthage inherited many of their religious practices and beliefs from their ancestors, the Phoenicians, and continued to practice polytheism, believing in multiple gods. Hannibal was born in the great city of Rome into a distinguished military family, the Western Mediterranean's Carthage. The moment Hannibal was born, Carthage and Rome were already fierce competitors vying for authority over the affluent Mediterranean. Both of these strong city-states existed in 264 BCE. The majority of the First Punic War was fought at sea, using enormous naval conflicts off the coast of Sicily. The two sides fought for 23 years. His descendants also adopted the moniker Barca, which translates to thunderbolt. They decided to take the last name Barca in order to identify with the great general. The First Punic War's events and aftermath would influence Hannibal's generation and establish his life's goals in accordance with his father's impact. By using their victory, the Romans were able to weaken Carthage's position and punish them severely. The harsh terms of an enemy who had just about defeated them infuriated the Carthaginians. Hamilcar Barca, Hannibal's father, was devastated by the loss and yearned for retribution against Rome. He felt that the Carthaginian government had conceded too soon after the First Punic War. Their army, composed of paid mercenaries from all over the Mediterranean, was responsible for a mutiny against Carthage. Hamilcar brutally punished his former soldiers after being called back to fight to put an end to the mutiny. Carthage looked west to Iberia, which is now Spain, as Rome seized more territory in the western Mediterranean. Hamilcar wanted to build a military base and enlist laborers in Spain, where Carthage had colonies. For almost 9 years, Hamilcar used dominance or negotiation to enlist tribes in Spain. Until his death, Hasdrubal the Fair, his son-in-law, assumed leadership of the diverse military, and the soldiers looked to young Hannibal, their second-in-command, to guide them. The struggle for vengeance and power in the face of hardship is exemplified by the tale of Hannibal Barca and the Carthaginians. At the age of 26, Hannibal, a Carthaginian general, was named Carthage's supreme military commander. Although little is known about his life, his father played a big role in his military skill. Growing up in military camps in what is now Spain, Hannibal learned how to fight hand-to-hand from his father's seasoned soldiers. In addition to being a distinguished general and a member of a prominent Carthaginian clan, his father served as a mentor and instructor in military skills. Before assuming command of the army and embarking on a war against Rome, Hannibal wed Emilza, an Iberian woman from Castello. The age of Hannibal's marriage is a matter of debate among historians, and there are no records indicating that his children survived. As a follower of the Phoenician and Carthaginian deity Melkart, Hannibal was thought to have been sent a vision by the deity himself. Scholars have argued and conjectured a great deal about Hannibal's appearance, particularly in relation to his ethnicity. It is impossible to determine whether coins depicting his image are of Hannibal, his father Hamilcar, or another Carthaginian connected to the campaign in Spain, because no description of his physical attributes has survived to the present day. Additionally, DNA evidence is speculative because Hannibal lived more than 2,000 years ago, and DNA has changed significantly since then, making it impossible to determine what his ethnicity might have been. An important figure in Carthaginian history was the Roman soldier Hannibal Barca. The most significant figure in his life was his father, Hamilcar Barca, who passed on his life's ambition to destroy Rome, as well as his tactics for fighting and conquering. Mago and Hasdrubal, Hannibal's brothers, were part of the army he led and shared his desire to kill the Romans. As the eldest son of Hamilcar, Hannibal bore the weight of his father's expectations. During the Second Punic War, he commanded Carthaginian forces in Sicily, which resulted in spectacular guerrilla attacks against the Romans. Hamilcar may have hated Rome and mistrusted the Carthaginian Senate because he had to battle the same mercenaries he had led against Rome after the war. In addition, Hannibal's brothers accompanied him on his campaign against Rome and during his military education and training. During the first 3 years of the Second Punic War, Mago led troops and took part in the invasion of Italy. He was sent to Spain to fight alongside Hasdrubal against the Roman consuls Publius Cornelius Scipio and Gnaeus Cornelius Scipio following the Battle of Cannae. Those who feared Hannibal and had lost to him in combat have carried on his legacy throughout history. Rome's dominance of the ancient world, particularly with regard to Hannibal Barca, is reflected in the term Punic, which is derived from a Roman slur that refers to the Phoenicians. Rome versus Hannibal. Although Hannibal's father was a highly regarded general in the army of Carthage, his son would grow up to be among the most courageous, creative, and successful military commanders in world history. He traveled throughout Spain as a child with his father and the Carthaginian army. Hannibal was accustomed to fighting. He and his 2 brothers had observed his dad inspire multinational troops to share an objective and develop a bond with the soldiers as they matured into men. Under Hannibal's leadership, the Carthaginians established territories in Spain in order to build a military base and a labor force. Situated on Spain's eastern coast, New Carthage was a crucial military installation with access to significant wealth. Rome negotiated a treaty with Carthage in the 3rd century BCE after becoming concerned about the actions of their rival. Despite accepting the treaty, Carthage persisted in annexing Spanish lands. Hannibal received an ultimatum in 220 BCE after Roman ambassadors cautioned him against attacking Saguntum. In order to carry out their father's desire for vengeance, Hannibal decided on war. Rome split its troops into two armies, and each faction's commander was chosen by an annual election. The Carthaginian leader Hannibal possessed 37 African elephants, a vast war chest, and an army that was well trained. He organized a protracted march across the French Alps, navigating perilous mountain ranges and rivers. He had the difficult task of crossing the Rhone River with the entire army, 12,000 horses and 37 elephants. The remaining army and animals made it to the northern Italian Po Valley, despite losing as many as 50,000 men. It was necessary for Hannibal to enlist new Gaulish soldiers in Italy. These fierce individuals preferred using a double-edged sword in battle and were skilled in hand-to-hand combat. When Hannibal and Scipio marched against Rome in December 218 BCE, Hannibal recruited 22,000 men, while Scipio recruited 40,000. The Romans were successfully outflanked by Hannibal's cavalry, which led to widespread confusion and the evacuation or drowning of numerous soldiers. The Carthaginian War of Attrition came to an end at the Battle of Cannae when Rome installed a dictator to keep Hannibal from winning. In June 216 BCE, Hannibal took Cannae, which gave his army access to supplies. Because of Carthage's resistance, Hannibal, a Carthaginian general, had difficulty capturing Rome during the Second Punic War. He aimed to win over Italian settlements to his cause and sever their ties to Rome. Hannibal dispatched emissaries to Rome following Cannae in order to negotiate terms of surrender and collect the ransom for his hostages. Instead of making the payment, Rome restocked their army with 4,000-man legions. Hannibal secured Syracuse and Capua by sailing through southern Italy. Rome's war of attrition against Hannibal resumed because his recruitment campaign alarmed Rome's core allies. Publius Cornelius Scipio was chosen to lead Rome's army in 206 BCE, and he subjugated Spain on the city's behalf. In 203 BCE, Hannibal led an army of 15,000 men to North Africa. Hannibal and Scipio fought a major battle at the Battle of Zama, where Scipio gained the nickname Scipio Africanus. With terms of surrender that included land, elephants, a navy, and reparations, Carthage was compelled to submit to Rome. The last years of Hannibal. After the Second Punic War ended in 201 BCE, he hadn't seen the city of Carthage since he was 9 years old. After his return, Hannibal transformed into a politician, a different type of leader. The Romans betrayed the Carthaginian general Hannibal, who was taken to Rome to be arrested. In Syria, where King Antiochus was at war with Rome, he sought safety after fleeing Carthage. After King Antiochus was overthrown by the Romans, Rome insisted that Hannibal be turned over to Roman rule. In order to deny Rome the satisfaction of his capture, Hannibal decided to end his own life. The Numidians started to encroach on the Mediterranean city-states' territory after the Second Punic War. In 149 BCE, under the leadership of Senator Marcus Porcius Cato, Rome declared war on Carthage and dispatched an army of about 4,000 cavalry and 80,000 infantry to North Africa. The Carthaginians repelled the Romans for 3 years and amassed a vast arsenal of weapons. Only 50,000 Carthaginians were killed when the Roman army finally destroyed Carthage by burning it to the ground. Following the Punic Wars, Rome underwent a dramatic transformation, becoming economically dependent on slavery as the Senate gained power and the prison population increased dramatically. Rome acquired at least 75,500 slaves as a result of the Punic Wars and the fall of Carthage, which sparked uprisings and caused division in the city-state's economy. The literature, history, and culture of Carthage's people were destroyed and were forgotten over time. Carthage would resurrect, but it would be under the reign of Rome, leaving behind only a remnant of ancient Carthage. There is a myth about Hannibal. Although he was concentrating on getting rid of his corrupt government and had demonstrated the dignity of Roman enemies in death, he is frequently depicted as a brutal military despot driven by greed and a thirst for blood.